A lot of times I'm doing the show and I'm like, I need one more story, and I'll type in a word like Rogan or Chappelle, and boy, did today pay off. We'll talk about Rogan and The Rock in a second, but I do want to address today is Trevor Noah's final day hosting The Daily Show. Trevor posted a clip on Instagram where he responded to a question from an audience member who asked him what he would do if he were not in the comedy industry. Trevor said he'd love to pursue a career in information technology. Trevor said, I've always loved working with computers, so I used to build computers when I was in high school. I'd probably love to do that. That's how my journey began. It was like I was trying to save up enough money to go to university so that I could study IT at the time, and then I carried on working, and I haven't stopped since, so maybe now I'll go to university and finally get that degree and do that. Trevor said he also loved being a salesperson. Like, I love helping people, especially when it comes to like buying technology, buying a car. I hate how uninformed some salespeople are and how you walk in and then they don't tell you anything. I like learning about something and then like sharing that information with other people. Another career choice, a teacher. He preferred working with younger children who were always trying to learn. Audience members asked Trevor who he was rooting for in the World Cup. Who do I support for this World Cup? It's a tough one. Obviously, if South Africa's not in the World Cup, which is most of the time, I immediately switched to Ghana. They're number one for me. I'm glad they won the game. Unfortunately, Ghana did not make it through. They will not be the World Cup winners. All right, let's talk about Joe Rogan. Joe has an opinion on The Rock. Here, let me play what Joe said.
The Rock should come clean right now. He should make a video in response to the Liver King video. I need to talk to you because The Rock's been lying.
Yeah. No, yeah.
There's not a fucking chance in hell he's clean.
No.
Not a chance in hell. As big as The Rock is at 50.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? You think that'll make headlines? Joe Rogan, The Rock? Yeah, you probably heard about this by now. We'll see how this shakes out. Did you watch Sebastian Maniscalco's special? The Chicago Sun-Times gave it a review. Some spoilers coming up. It opens with Sebastian Maniscalco saying, "My favorite Vegas is from a bygone era when everybody smoked, drank martinis, and dressed to impress." We see a montage of pictures of Sebastian photoshopped with the Rat Pack. That's the Vegas I'd like to bring back to life. Cut to Maniscalco in a tux, walking onto a gold stage with gold curtains. It's a nice touch, and even some of the audience dressed up to honor Sebastian's request to dress up like in the old days. Sebastian is a seasoned, likable, solid pro at the top of his game who will keep you laughing and nodding in recognition throughout. His opener, here are the spoilers. Everybody says you have to have a date night when you have kids, so now we go out and we argue without the kids. It's nice. We get a lot more accomplished without the kids being there. He jokes his wife doesn't utilize her menu time appropriately. Start reading. Get your head in the menu. They're going to ask us questions. Pick a protein. Stop looking at the crown molding. Maniscalco pokes fun at, quote, woke trends, saying he has little patience for the classmate in his daughter's kindergarten class who identifies as a lion. The joke, 23 kids, one lion in the class. I don't blame the kid. I blame the parents. Kid probably came down in the morning dressed as a lion. If my kid comes down and he's dressed as a panda bear, I'm telling him, get the F upstairs, put some jeans on. I'm not taking a panda bear to school. The Sun-Times adds that while not overtly political, Maniscalco's comedy persona is that of an old-school guy who makes politically incorrect but not hardcore offensive observations about ethnicity and race and modern-day sensitivities, and is bemused by modern-day gentle parenting. He says that's not for him. I talk to my son like he's in the union, local 606, working a warehouse 15 hours. The Last Laugh podcast caught up with Sebastian, who said, yeah, I have this thing for nostalgia in my act. I guess the best example is this doorbell bit that I used to do about the doorbell ringing back then and how it is now. I feel, especially now having kids, I feel like the way I grew up, just a simple upbringing, but we had a great time. And I'm thinking now, is that possible in today's climate? I know they're not going to experience the same thing I experienced, obviously, but I just want to implement some of those old world, old school values I grew up with in my kids. And I'm finding, yeah, I could do that at home, but just the way the world is today, as soon as they go out in the world, it's very different from how I grew up. They asked him about the lion joke, and he said, that's not at my kid's school. No, it's a story I actually heard from somebody. A lot of times in comedy, it's almost like a movie where you take things that you've heard, you piece them together. Another example is I told a joke about my dad murdering animals in the backyard by putting antifreeze on bologna. He never did that. I actually heard that from somebody else, then weaved it into my act and gave that characteristic to my father. I think nowadays people get really hopped up in regards to things that comedians are saying that they think is true and just kind of putting a mirror on society and making light of everything. I think a minority of the audience takes it seriously. A very small portion, I think, of the populace gets hopped up when it comes to stand-up comedy. From what I'm seeing on the road, that's not the case. People are dying to laugh. They have a sense of humor. They're not taking things to heart or seriously. If you don't like the material, you don't have to listen to it. I just don't know when it became like certain things are off limits to when it comes to humor. That's what comedians do. They point out everything that's going on in life and put a humorous spin on it. But nowadays, it doesn't seem to be the case. Netflix dropped the trailer for You People, a new comedy film starring Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy. The movie follows a couple as they confront generational expectations and culture clashes against their families. It also stars Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Elliot Gould, Rhea Perlman, Molly Gordon, Andrea Savage. January 27th on Netflix. How old is Elliot Gould now? Elliot Gould is 84. All right, from the AV Club, Borat made an appearance at the Kennedy Center Honors the other night. He was part of the tribute to U2 for some reason. Who knows? Some of the material, and A, I'm not going to do a Borat impression. B, I'm sure Borat told this funnier than I am. I'm going to read the transcript in my normal speaking voice. Borat said, "I know the president of USNA is here. Where are you, Mr. Trump?" Borat then looked at Joe Biden and said, "Where has your blown-ass big belly gone and your pretty orange skin has become pale?" Borat then acknowledged Dr. Jill Biden and said, "I see you have a new wife. Whoa, she's very erotic. I must look away before I get a..." And it says Bono here, but I'm guessing he said Bono. So I'm guessing the joke was, "I must look away before I get a Bono." Borat continued, "Before I proceed, I will say I'm very upset about the anti-Semitism in USNA. It's not fair. Kazakhstan is #1 Jew-crushing nation. Stop stealing our hobby. Stop the steal. Stop the steal. You're Kanye. He tried to move to Kazakhstan and even tried to change his name to Kazakhstanye West. But we said no, he's too anti-Semitic even for us." That was probably pretty funny in character. Sacha Baron Cohen, then as Borat, did With or Without Jews, a parody of the U2 song. This all sounds bizarre. Borat interrupted himself and asked, "What's the problem? They love this at Mar-a-Lago. They chose Without Jews." Did you join the $2 club yet? No, Johnny Mac, what's that? It's a new way to show your support for the show. You go to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. You sign up, you become a $2 member, and then once a month you throw $2 in the tip jar automatically to support the show. Much appreciated. I've been recording slightly ahead to accommodate my schedule, so I haven't yet had a chance to address the passing of Kirstie Alley. Of the many things Kirstie was known for, she played Rebecca Howe on Cheers, taking over as co-lead once Shelley Long left the show. Kirstie had 8 Emmy nominations during her career. After Cheers, she starred on NBC's Veronica Closet. Remember that? One of the rotating, I think it was 9:30 shows. They could never fill that slot properly. The one thing that worked was Seinfeld. Kirstie was also known for co-starring with John Travolta in Look Who's Talking in 1989 and the 2 sequels. Personally, for me, she will always be the very, very beautiful Lieutenant Saavik on Star Trek II. Kevin Hart has announced a new run of dates in the UK. If you're over there, he'll be playing Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, and London in April. And a new report released by Vivid Seats has ranked Las Vegas as the top city for comedy in 2023. The report found nearly 4 dozen comedians are already slated to perform in Sin City. Why would you say 4 dozen and not nearly 50? Among the nearly 4 dozen comedians, names include Jerry Seinfeld, Sebastian Maniscalco, Jim Gaffigan, and Taylor Tomlinson, which is impressive, but that's 4. I thought you said there were almost 48, which is not quite almost 50. I'm confused here. Other top-ranked cities include Denver as the top city for sports. Yeah? Really? The Broncos? The Rockies? The Avalanche? The Nuggets? Yeah. Soccer team, probably. Okay. Austin, Texas is the top city for music. And Boston, the top city for theater. Wait till Broadway hears about that. And that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Join the $2 club. See you tomorrow.